Have you ever noticed how much of your stress comes from things you cannot actually change? Many people move through their days holding invisible tension, trying to manage outcomes, people, and situations that refuse to obey. And slowly, this effort becomes exhausting. Buddhism teaches something deeply freeing. Peace does not come from controlling life, but from releasing your grip on it. This is not about giving up or becoming passive. It is about learning where your power truly lies. In this reflection, you will explore 10 lessons to help you detach from what you cannot control and return to a calmer, steadier way of being. Listen slowly and allow these words to meet you where you are. Lesson 1. Notice what you are trying to control. Detachment does not begin with letting go. It begins with awareness. Most of the time, the effort to control is so automatic that you do not even notice it happening. It appears in subtle ways. Wanting someone to respond differently, replaying conversations in your mind, worrying about outcomes that have not yet happened. This quiet attempt to manage everything creates tension in the body and restlessness in the mind. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises when the mind resists reality, and control is often the form that resistance takes. Instead of forcing yourself to detach, begin by simply noticing where control is present. Pause during your day and gently ask yourself, what am I trying to control right now? You may notice it in your thoughts, in your emotions, or even in physical tightness in your chest or shoulders. There is no need to judge this habit or push it away. Just seeing it clearly begins to loosen its hold. When you acknowledge, I am trying to control this, something shifts. You create a small space between yourself and the reaction, and in that space, a different response becomes possible. Over time, this awareness grows stronger, and what once felt automatic becomes visible. Detachment then begins naturally, not as something you force, but as something that arises from understanding. You are not asked to stop caring, you are simply learning to hold things more lightly. Lesson 2. Accept that uncertainty is part of life. At the root of control, there is often a fear of uncertainty. The mind wants to know what will happen, to feel secure, to eliminate risk. When it cannot find certainty, it tries to create it through overthinking, planning, and worry. But no matter how much effort you put into predicting the future, it remains unknown. Buddhism teaches that uncertainty is not a problem to solve, but a fundamental truth of life. Everything is changing, unfolding, and moving beyond your full understanding. When you resist uncertainty, anxiety grows. When you accept it, something inside you begins to soften. This acceptance does not mean you stop preparing or caring about your life. It simply means you release the demand to know everything in advance. Each day, you can remind yourself gently, I do not need to have all the answers right now. Let this thought settle without forcing belief. When situations feel unclear or unstable, pause and take a breath. Notice the urge to figure everything out immediately. Then allow yourself to sit with not knowing, even for a moment. This practice builds inner stability, not from certainty, but from presence. Over time, uncertainty begins to feel less like a threat and more like an open space where life unfolds. You begin to trust that you can meet whatever comes, even if you cannot predict it. And in that trust, a quieter form of peace begins to emerge. Lesson 3. Let people be as they are. One of the most exhausting forms of control is the attempt to change other people. You may want them to understand you, to behave differently, to meet your expectations, or to respond in a way that feels right to you. When they do not, frustration, disappointment, or even hurt can arise. Beneath these emotions, there is often a quiet belief that they should be different. Buddhism offers a different perspective. Each person is shaped by their own experiences, habits, fears, and level of awareness. Just as you are influenced by your past, so are they. When you try to control others, you are resisting this reality. Detachment does not mean you stop caring about people or accept harmful behavior without boundaries. It means you stop trying to reshape them according to your expectations. Instead, you begin to focus on your own responses. You can still choose how close you allow someone to be. You can still communicate honestly and set limits where needed. But you release the inner demand that they must change for you to feel at peace. Try bringing to mind someone who has been difficult for you. Notice what you wish they would do differently. Then gently acknowledge, this is who they are right now, not forever, but in this moment. Allowing this truth can feel uncomfortable at first, but it also brings relief. You stop fighting something that is outside your control, and in doing so, you regain energy that was previously lost in resistance. Letting people be as they are is not weakness. It is a quiet form of strength that frees your mind. Lesson 4. Release the need for immediate outcomes. The mind often wants results quickly. It wants clarity, solutions, and emotional relief without delay. When things take time, impatience appears, and with it, frustration. This impatience is another form of control, an attempt to force life to move according to your preferred timeline. But life unfolds in its own rhythm, not in response to your urgency. Buddhism teaches patience as a form of wisdom, not passive waiting, but the ability to allow things to develop naturally. When you demand immediate outcomes, you create unnecessary pressure. You may rush decisions, overreact, or feel overwhelmed when things do not resolve quickly. Instead, begin to notice this urgency when it arises. Pause, take a breath, and gently remind yourself, this does not need to be solved right now. Let that thought create a small opening. You are not ignoring your responsibilities. You are simply releasing the pressure to fix everything immediately. Many things in life require time, healing, growth, understanding, and change. They cannot be forced without creating more resistance. When you allow space, clarity often emerges more naturally. You become more patient with yourself and with others. This patience reduces anxiety and brings a steadier sense of calm. Detachment in this case means trusting the process, even when you cannot see the outcome yet. It means understanding that not everything needs to happen now, and that some answers will come in their own time. Lesson 5. Separate effort from outcome. One of the most subtle forms of attachment is not to people or situations, but to results. You may put in effort, time, and care, and then quietly expect a specific outcome in return. When that outcome does not arrive as imagined, disappointment appears. This is where suffering begins, not in the effort itself, but in the attachment to what should happen afterward. Buddhism teaches a powerful distinction. You are responsible for your actions, but not for the results of those actions. This does not mean your efforts do not matter. It means that outcomes are shaped by countless conditions beyond your control. timing, other people, circumstances, and chance. When you tie your inner peace to outcomes, you place it in unstable hands. Instead, begin to shift your focus gently. When you take action, bring your full presence to the effort itself. Do what feels aligned, honest, and intentional. And then, when the action is complete, practice releasing it. You might say silently, "I have done what I can. The rest is not mine to carry." At first, this may feel unnatural because the mind is used to holding on, replaying, and anticipating. But with practice, something begins to change. You experience a quieter form of satisfaction, one that comes from integrity rather than results. You begin to notice that peace is available even when outcomes are uncertain or imperfect. This lesson is especially important in moments when you feel judged, evaluated, or measured by success. It reminds you that your value is not defined by what happens next. Over time, separating effort from outcome creates a sense of freedom. You still act, you still care, you still participate in life, but without the constant pressure of needing everything to turn out a certain way. And in that freedom, your actions often become more genuine, more focused, and less burdened by fear. Lesson 6. Allow emotions without trying to control them. Not everything you try to control exists outside of you. Some of the strongest control patterns are directed inward, toward your own emotions. You may try to suppress anxiety, push away sadness, or replace discomfort with distraction. You may tell yourself that you should feel differently, that certain emotions are not acceptable, or that you need to fix how you feel as quickly as possible. But the more you resist your emotions, the more persistent they often become. Buddhism teaches that emotions are not problems to solve. They are experiences to be understood. They arise, stay for a time, and then pass if they are allowed to move naturally. When you try to control them, you interrupt this process and create additional tension. Instead, begin with a different approach. When an emotion arises, pause and bring gentle awareness to it. Notice where it lives in your body. Is it a tightness, a heaviness, a restlessness? Instead of naming it as good or bad, simply acknowledge it as it is. You might say silently, "This is what I am feeling right now." There is no need to analyze it immediately or change it. Just allow it to be present. This practice does not mean you become overwhelmed by your emotions. In fact, the opposite often happens. When you stop fighting them, they lose some of their intensity. You create space around the feeling, and within that space, the emotion begins to soften on its own. Over time, this builds emotional resilience. You become less afraid of what you feel because you trust that it will not last forever. You stop seeing emotions as enemies and begin to see them as temporary visitors. Detachment here means not identifying completely with what you feel. You experience the emotion, but you do not become it. And in that distinction, a deeper sense of calm begins to grow. Lesson 7. Let go of the need for approval. Much of your inner tension may come from something very quiet, yet very powerful, the need to be approved of by others. You may adjust your behavior, your words, or even your identity in order to be accepted, understood, or liked. You may replay conversations, wondering how you were perceived, or feel unsettled when someone's opinion of you is unclear or negative. This desire for approval is deeply human, but when it becomes a source of dependence, it creates constant instability. because no matter how much you try, you cannot fully control how others see you. Buddhism teaches that your sense of self cannot be anchored in external validation, because external views are always changing. People see you through their own perspectives, shaped by their experiences, moods, and expectations. Trying to manage all of these perceptions is not only exhausting, it is impossible. Instead, begin to shift your attention inward. Ask yourself gently, am I acting in alignment with my values? This question brings you back to what you can control, your intentions and your actions. When you live in alignment with your values, approval becomes less necessary. You may still appreciate it when it comes, but you are no longer dependent on it for your sense of worth. This does not mean you stop caring about others or become indifferent to relationships. It means your stability no longer depends on being constantly validated. When you notice the urge to seek approval, pause and observe it without judgment. You might say, there is a desire to be liked here. Simply naming it creates distance. Over time, this practice reduces the emotional weight of others' opinions. You begin to feel more grounded in yourself, less reactive to praise or criticism. And in that groundedness, a quieter form of confidence appears, one that does not need constant reassurance. Detachment here is not isolation. It is freedom from the need to be seen in a certain way in order to feel at peace. Lesson 8. Remember that everything changes, including what you're holding on to. One of the deepest reasons you struggle to detach is because something inside you believes that what you are holding on to is permanent, or at least should be. You hold on to situations, expectations, identities, relationships, and even pain as if they are fixed. And when they begin to change, as all things eventually do, you feel resistance. You try to stabilize what is naturally unstable. Buddhism offers a quiet but powerful truth. Everything is impermanent. This is not a pessimistic idea. It is a liberating one. When you truly understand that everything changes, your relationship with control begins to shift. The things you are trying so hard to manage are already moving, already evolving, already slipping beyond your grasp. Whether you hold tightly or gently, change will still happen. So the question becomes, how do you want to meet that change? Take a moment and reflect on something you are currently holding on to, an expectation, a worry, a situation you want to go a certain way. Notice how much energy is being used to keep it in place. Now gently remind yourself, this too is changing. Let that sentence settle. Not as an idea to analyze, but as something to feel. When you truly allow this truth in, something softens. The grip begins to loosen, not because you force it, but because you see that holding on does not stop change. It only creates tension, while change happens anyway. This understanding also transforms how you relate to difficult experiences. When you feel stuck in a painful emotion or situation, the mind often tells you that it will last forever. But impermanence reminds you that even this is temporary. Even this will shift. Even this will pass. This does not mean you dismiss your pain or rush it away. It means you hold it with a little more space, a little less fear. You no longer need to panic or control it, because you trust that it will not remain exactly as it is. At the same time, impermanence deepens your appreciation for what is present. When you know something is not permanent, you experience it more fully. A conversation becomes more meaningful. A quiet moment becomes more alive. Even ordinary parts of your day begin to feel more valuable because you recognize that they will not return in the same way again. This awareness naturally reduces attachment. You no longer try to freeze moments or force them to last. You allow them to come and go, and in doing so, you experience them more honestly. Detachment, in this sense, is not about losing connection. It is about relating to life without trying to make it permanent. It is about understanding that holding on tightly does not preserve anything. It only creates strain. When you remember that everything changes, you begin to move more gently. You argue less with reality. You cling less to expectations. You become more flexible, more open, and more at ease with the natural flow of life. Over time, this lesson becomes an anchor. When something begins to slip away, you remind yourself, this is the nature of things. When something beautiful appears, you allow yourself to fully receive it without needing to possess it. You begin to live with a quiet awareness that everything is temporary, and because of that, everything is precious. This awareness does not make you detached in a cold or distant way. It makes you present. It makes you softer. It makes you more capable of letting go, not because you do not care, but because you understand. And in that understanding, control slowly loses its grip on you. Lesson 9. Stop arguing with reality. Much of your inner struggle comes from a habit so subtle that it often goes unnoticed. You argue with reality. You replay what has already happened and wish it had been different. You resist what is currently happening and think it should not be this way. You imagine how things could have been and compare that to what is. This silent argument creates a constant sense of friction inside you. It drains your energy and keeps you stuck between what is real and what you wish were real. Buddhism teaches that suffering increases when you resist what is already true. Not because reality is always easy, but because resisting it adds an extra layer of pain. Consider this carefully. There is a difference between responding to reality and arguing with it. Responding means you acknowledge what is happening and choose your next step from a place of clarity. Arguing means you mentally reject what has already occurred, even though you cannot change it. This rejection does not alter reality, but it does intensify your experience of it. When something difficult happens, it is natural to feel emotion. But when the mind adds, "This should not be happening," or "This is unfair," the suffering deepens. The event itself may be painful, but the resistance multiplies that pain. Detachment begins when you stop adding this second layer. When something happens, try to notice your immediate reaction. Is there a sense of no inside you? A tightening, a refusal to accept what is already here? Instead of following that reaction, pause and take a breath. Then gently acknowledge, this is what is happening right now. Not as approval, not as agreement, but as recognition. This simple shift creates space. You are no longer fighting reality. You are seeing it clearly. This does not mean you become passive or accept harmful situations without action. Acceptance is not the same as resignation. It is the ability to see things as they are before deciding how to respond. When you stop arguing with reality, your responses become more grounded and effective. You waste less energy resisting what cannot be changed, and you have more clarity to act where you can make a difference. This practice is especially powerful in everyday moments, when plans change unexpectedly, when someone behaves in a way you do not like, when things do not go as you hoped. Notice the urge to resist. Notice the internal dialogue that says, "This shouldn't be happening." Then gently release that argument. Return to the present moment. Ask yourself, given that this is happening, what is the wisest way to respond? This question shifts your attention from resistance to action. Over time, this habit transforms your relationship with life. Situations that once triggered frustration begin to feel more manageable. You become less reactive, less overwhelmed by change, and more capable of adapting. You no longer feel the need to control every outcome, because you trust your ability to meet whatever arises. There is also a deeper peace that comes from this practice. When you stop arguing with reality, the mind becomes quieter. The constant tension between expectation and experience begins to dissolve. You are no longer split between what is and what should be. You are simply here, meeting life as it unfolds. This does not mean life becomes perfect. Difficulties still arise, challenges still appear, but your relationship to them changes. You move through them with less resistance and more clarity. And in that shift, you discover something important. Peace is not found in controlling reality. It is found in no longer fighting it. When you stop arguing with what is, you create space for acceptance. And in that acceptance, a deeper form of freedom begins to emerge. Lesson 10. Return to the only thing you can truly control, your inner response. After everything you have explored, there is one quiet truth that remains at the center of detachment. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can learn to work with how you respond to it. This is where your real power lives, not in shaping every outcome, not in managing every situation, but in the way you meet each moment internally. Most of the time, when something unexpected or uncomfortable happens, the reaction is immediate. It feels automatic. Thoughts arise quickly, emotions follow, and before you realize it, you are already carried away by them. You may feel frustration, anxiety, or resistance, and it can seem as though these reactions are happening to you without choice. But Buddhism teaches that between what happens and how you respond, there is a space. At first, this space is very small, almost invisible. But with awareness, it begins to grow. Detachment is not about becoming cold or disconnected. It is about becoming conscious in that space. When something happens, instead of reacting immediately, you pause, even for a brief moment. In that pause, you create a shift. You are no longer purely reacting, you are choosing. This choice does not need to be perfect. It simply needs to be aware. Imagine a moment in your day when something does not go as planned. Perhaps someone speaks to you in a way that feels harsh, or a situation unfolds differently than you expected. The usual response might be to tighten, to defend, or to become upset. But in that moment, if you pause and notice your reaction, something changes. You see the emotion forming. You feel the impulse to respond. And instead of immediately following it, you take a breath. You might say silently, "This is my reaction," not "This is who I am." That small distinction creates distance. You are no longer completely identified with the reaction. You are observing it. And from that place, you can begin to respond differently. Sometimes the wisest response is to say nothing. Sometimes it is to speak calmly. Sometimes it is to step away and give yourself space. The point is not to always respond in the right way. The point is to respond with awareness instead of habit. Each time you do this, even in small ways, you strengthen your ability to remain steady. Over time, this practice transforms your inner world. Situations that once felt overwhelming begin to feel more manageable. You no longer feel as though you are being pushed around by external events. Instead, you develop a quiet sense of stability. You realize that while you cannot control what happens, you are not powerless. Your response becomes your anchor. This lesson also changes how you relate to difficulty. When challenges arise, instead of immediately trying to control the situation, you first turn inward. You notice your thoughts, your emotions, your body. You ground yourself before taking action. This grounding creates clarity, and from clarity, your actions become more intentional and less reactive. There is also a deeper level to this understanding. When you consistently return to your inner response, you begin to see that peace is not something you find in perfect conditions. It is something you cultivate within yourself. Even when life is unpredictable, even when things do not go your way, there is still a part of you that can remain steady. This does not mean you will never feel upset or disturbed. You are human. Emotions will still arise, but you will no longer feel completely controlled by them. You will have a place within yourself that you can return to, a place of awareness, of presence, of calm observation. Each moment becomes an opportunity to practice, not in a forced or rigid way, but gently. You notice, you pause, you respond, again and again. And slowly, this becomes your natural way of being. Detachment, in its deepest sense, is not about pushing life away. It is about no longer being pulled in every direction by it. It is about standing in the center of your experience with clarity and steadiness. You may not control the world around you, but you can learn to meet it with a calm mind, an open awareness, and a steady heart. And in that, you discover a freedom that does not depend on anything outside of you. Detachment is not about losing connection with life. It is about releasing the struggle to control it. As you move forward, remember that peace is not found in perfect conditions, but in the way you meet each moment. You do not need to master all of these lessons at once. Simply return to them gently, again and again. If this reflection brought you even a small sense of calm or clarity, consider subscribing to Mindfulness for more teachings on inner peace, Buddhist wisdom, and mindful living. Thank you for being here. May you move through life with greater ease, awareness, and quiet strength.